And it's raining, although it's actually really light rain. Kind of like when you walk around amusement parks during the summer, they have these little tiny sprinklers above just so you can cool off while you walk by. It's kind of the same thing. Who knows if it'll stop. And what's going on today? Lots of interesting stuff. I guess the first one I read was kind of interesting. I think it's being written because there's so many people who got drones during Christmas time. This one here says, FAA busted multiple drone flyers. Here are the expensive results. If you received a drone for Christmas, you should be careful on how you fly your drone because there are laws on what you can and cannot do with a drone. There are also restrictions on where you cannot fly. Not knowing these regulations can cause big problems. We managed to get a hold of the FAA enforcement actions ranging from 2012 to 2020. So they talk about examples such as how one person apparently got fined $1.9 million. Like, what the heck were you doing to get fined that much? Apparently it was someone operating a commercial business, I guess doing drone flights. Maybe he wasn't licensed or whatever, and because of that he got fined. There was one point here was actually kind of interesting. Somebody got fined $55,000 for the flight for the event honoring Cecil the lion. I remember that story actually about the lion, but I didn't remember reading about someone getting fined, I guess flying a drone in relations to an event honoring the lion. I'll get into that a little later. But it says here, each drone flight counts as one separate violation. So if you fly 3 batteries worth, you essentially have 3 separate violations. And they seem to mention one group of individuals who seem to have gotten fined a lot are real estate agents, where I guess they launch their drone up in the air just to get a picture of the property and so forth, and then next thing you know, I guess somebody reports it or whatever and they get fined. So it's a warning, but at the same time it makes me wonder how much of it is actually safety related versus just someone saying, hey, that's the quote law that they made up and if you violate it then you get fined. Because I was trying to read back at that story, like I said, the one that I never read before. So this one here says, he flew a drone to take photos for a friend. Now he's facing $55,000 in government fines. Now keep in mind, this article was way back in 2016 apparently. So apparently this person was just capturing, I guess, videos and stuff for fun when people just ask for help and so forth. But apparently the FAA, I guess, felt the need to punish this person for it. And back then it says here, Katerina's month-long battle with the government underscores the frustrations drone hobbyists and commercial users have with the FAA as the agency has slowly debated how to keep the rapidly growing drone population under control. And then the person says, the FAA is just making this shit up as they go along. Peter Sash, a drone attorney based in Connecticut, told the Daily Signal. The FAA claims Katerina flew his drone for commercial use at an event in August 2015. Though the Minnesota man has never charged anyone for his aerial photography and contends he's only honing his skills. Still, that didn't stop the government from classifying him not as an individual but as a company, citing him for 5 violations with fines of $11,000 each. Now to me that is extremely ridiculous, but I know there are actually people who will look at that and say, oh well, it makes sense, and they don't do anything, for example, to say, hey, this doesn't make sense, get rid of that. This has nothing to do with safety per se. Now the story about the lion, apparently some people created an event and they wanted the person to capture, I guess, drone footage of the whole ceremony. And this time, based on past experience with the FAA, the person was more weary, so they tried to do everything by the book. And it says, before agreeing to help, Katerina told event organizer Kevin Foley he needed to make sure of several things. He wouldn't be flying over any people, which he wouldn't be. He wouldn't be flying in a residential area, which he wouldn't be. And he wouldn't be flying within 5 miles of the closest airport, St. Paul Downtown Airport, which was 5.2 miles away. So he really tried to do his research, I guess you could say. It says, according to Katerina's retelling, an aviation safety inspector with the FAA sent a letter to the event organizer Foley on August 14th, 1 day beforehand, after learning that an aerial photo would be taken. In the letter provided to the Daily Signal, the safety inspector outlined the definitions of an unmanned aircraft system and model aircraft and detailed the differences between the two. After learning of the FAA's correspondence with Foley, Katerina placed a call to David Nelson, the inspector, to discuss the upcoming flight. Katerina says he never heard back from Nelson. I mean, to me, that almost sounds like with the way this is being retold, it's someone using the law more as a weapon, in my opinion. Like, oh, technically, this is this is that. Like, what does this have to do with safety? That's what I would say anyways. According to this too, he went through with the event, and afterwards the FAA contacted him saying, oh, we're investigating this now. And what he did was send them all his details, like he didn't have to, like this was my flight, here's the photo and so forth, like what's wrong, correct? It says for nearly 6 months, Katerina didn't hear further from the FAA. Then on February 5th, he received a subpoena from the agency requesting all aerial photography and videography uploaded to his personal website, as well as photos and video uploaded to social media, including Facebook and YouTube, and information about his drone. Holy cow! I don't know, man, that seems a little overboard just for a guy going up there and taking a picture or something, isn't it? On March 1st, Katerina said the FAA requested information. For more than a month, the agency was silent. As well, apparently they were alleging that the person was flying, I guess, in a careless or reckless manner and, quote, not being operated for hobby or recreational purposes. Again, them saying it's commercial work. And then the guy says here, I keep going through my head asking, what did I actually do wrong? I did a favor for a friend of a friend. I gave pictures to the local media, but I did it all for free, Katerina said. I went home and the next thing I know, I have this guy calling me from the FAA giving me grief. Again, this is a while ago, but it makes you think, like in these cases again, even I would say, what does that have to do with safety? It just seems like there's someone trying to push their weight. And it always surprises me where there's people actually promoting stuff like this. How does that make sense? A guy flying up like there, taking like a photo away from all aircraft and so forth, like there's no danger there. But yet someone insists, I guess, having the mindset of letter of the law versus spirit of the law type of mentality. I still remember this story where it says pandemic not causing any birthday present delays for drone owning grandparents. It was essentially with all the distancing rules, they couldn't see their grandchild, so what they did was they attached a present to the drone and they delivered it to him. It was only within the driveway or so, to my understanding, so no big deal. It's kind of cool and cute, right? But imagine there, someone within the agency saying, oh, that's illegal in every single way. $10,000 fine for that. Is that ludicrous? And there's actually people who promote stuff like that. That's the crazy part. I mean, at what point is it actually safety related versus just people trying to, I guess, control people in a sense, saying, oh, you better do what we say or else you'll be punished. And then this was kind of an interesting read today. Here it says, Microsoft to buy game giant Activision Blizzard for $68 billion US? What, is that right? Consolidation in the gaming industry sector underway. Microsoft is buying the gaming company Activision Blizzard for $68.7 billion, gaining access to blockbuster games like Call of Duty and Candy Crush. The all-cash deal will let Microsoft, maker of the Xbox gaming system, accelerate mobile gaming and provide building blocks for the metaverse or a virtual environment. They also own Blizzard too, which makes a lot of those games like StarCraft and Warcraft and all that. Although that might be a reason why the sale went through, I guess you could say, because that company is going through a lot of controversy right now with the companies for things like, for example, allegations of misconduct and unequal pay, as they say here. So who knows if that's the reason why they said, okay, buy us. It reminds me of a funny story, actually. It was a while back, I read a book, I believe. It talked about how when Microsoft was entering the gaming industry, they had no experience, but as they say, money can buy experience. So what they did was they tried to buy out Nintendo, and they went up to them, from what the story said anyways, from what I remember, they gave them a blank check. Write whatever you want. And Nintendo's response was something along the lines of, what are we gonna do with this? We don't need money, which is true, right? Like, they're doing well. And so what they did eventually was they bought some other companies that were working with Nintendo a lot. It's called Rare. You might have seen it, I guess, for some of the other games. And when they went to Rare, Rare helped develop some games like Donkey Kong Country, which was really popular because of things like the graphics and all that. And so Microsoft, I guess one of the executives were like, let's buy this company out. Wow, look at that. We can get all these properties like Donkey Kong and all that. What a steal. So they ended up buying that company, the Rare company. And afterwards they found out, what? They don't own Donkey Kong and all that. They just developed the game. Nintendo's the one that actually owns all the trademarks, like for the characters and all that. So it's kind of funny where it's some executive that doesn't understand the industry or anything like that. Can you imagine spending, I don't know, like millions or billions of dollars in that sense and not doing your research? That must be interesting to be in that situation where someone comes up to you say, I'll buy whatever it is, your entire life's work in this for X amount of money, would you actually take it? Because at that point in your life, it just sounds like, wow, it's so much, whereas it might be a bad decision overall. I guess that's one of those rare circumstances. I don't know if everyone obviously was not going to get the opportunity to experience that, but it's kind of interesting when the companies turn them down and the reasons why. Alright, looks like there's no flying today. Time for some more, I guess, experiments for the archive and stuff. Alright, see you guys later.